All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming to today's meeting. Um, so uh, I haven't been able to send out the email with the Hangout link yet, so you're probably going to be watching this afterwards. So apologies for that. So let's see. Today we have, and it's frozen. Oh God, it's the worst. Sorry for all the technological difficulties. I'm just gonna leave this here, and I think I hope it's working. Oh. Yeah. I guess Bryce, if you just want to start.
Sure. So my name is Bryce Cracknell. I am a senior from Charlotte, North Carolina, studying public policy with a minor in environmental science and policy. Assume we're all, I know you're familiar, relatively familiar with the position of young trustees. So I'll briefly talk about that for a little bit, then talk about myself and reasons why I'm qualified for young trustee, and then open it up for some questions toward the end. But the position of young trustee is a 2-year position. For the first year as an observing member, the second year as a voting member. You sit on the board of trustees, which of course decides all of the long-term trajectory of the university, making some of the big decisions that we'll see in the future, including what are we going to do with Central Campus after folks are moved over to West Campus? Should there be any new housing models that are developed after that? What are our next big investments in higher education and big initiatives around the areas of diversity and inclusion, access and opportunity? Those are 2 of the issues that I care a lot about and have a lot of experience in working with the administration on that front. I currently serve on the Trinity Board of Visitors, which acts similar to that of the Board of Trustees, but more as an advisor to Dean Ashby on what sort of ways can we work with the different departments in Trinity to improve in the rankings, but also improve the level of education that we provide and provide better entry points and access points for different students, depending on their previous knowledge and areas of computer science per se, whether they have a lot of experience in coding, a little bit of experience in coding, but they all want to be computer science majors, make sure that there's different entry points, depending on whatever level you're coming in at to be able to study in that area. I also serve on the President's Council on Black Affairs, so I advise President Price, again, in areas of how we can make a better and more diverse campus and more diverse and inclusive campus. So I have a long history of working with the administration in that kind of general area. Back in 2015, after a noose was hung on our campus, a Black Lives Matter poster defaced, and a homophobic death threat was written outside of a student's dorm on East Campus, I helped organize a lot of students around these different issues to respond to these events, to basically present lists of demands to the administration, working with Mi Gente, Blue Devils United, ASA, and many other student groups, so that way we can work together to make a more safe campus. And so what came out of our results and what came after with the meetings with administration was the designation of Able Quad, the 2 new cultural centers at the bottom of the Bryan Center, including La Casa and the AAPI base, but also better policy on hate and bias that so that way people could report and there was better follow through and people could find justice at the end of the day. Those are a lot of the issues that I care about in the areas of diversity and inclusion. I'm also an RA, so I have a lot of experience in working around issues of sexual assault and walking my residents and friends kind of through that process, and have a good familiarity with the process in terms of how it's so convoluted and doesn't work for many folks, and then actually discourages many people from going through the reporting process, which I find to be really unacceptable. And that process ought to be better streamlined, and we ought to invest more in areas of curbing sexual assault. Also have worked with students with disabilities who are also my residents, and making sure the disability office and working with the respective faculty members to make sure that they have everything that they need to be able to succeed in their classrooms. But that's a little bit about me. I'd love to open up to questions to see if you all have any questions about the position or any questions about my experience. I'd love to share more.
Yeah, I guess just briefly, I have a couple of quick questions.
Sure, please.
So I know you talked about working with your residents to help make sure they have everything they need to be successful. So what exactly did that entail?
So for instance, my sophomore year as an RA and GA, I had a student with a visual disability, and having worked with him in the disability office to make sure that, one, there was a screen in his room so that way he could better do his homework in addition to the laptop that he possessed. Also in making sure that he had room in the classroom to be able to sit toward the front, being able to record lectures, and also getting extra time on tests in that front. And so if there's ever any issues with paperwork or ever any issues with housing, I was usually the first one that he went to make sure that everything was in order for him to be able to, again, just be able to go to class like everyone else.
Great. Do you guys have any questions?
Sorry for coming in late.
Yeah,
no worries.
It's okay. I guess one other question. So I guess specifically, I know you don't necessarily have a platform because your role would be to advise like the rest of the board, but correct. I don't know if there are any specific issues that you see on campus, in campus life currently that related to disability and people's experiences that you would want to like work to change.
Certainly. The reason why I'm running is to create better access and opportunity for all students across campus, including those with marginalized identities, students with disabilities, international students, undocumented students, whomever it might be, just creating more space and better, just better living environments for all us, for everyone to coincide and go to class and just live together, right? And so that includes, again, students with disabilities and creating better access, again, to all of our new buildings, old buildings, existing buildings, and just making sure that that is something that is always considered whenever the board is making a decision. So that's definitely a perspective that I care about, a perspective that I'd want to bring onto the board, especially when there's new building decisions, new initiatives, to make sure that is always something that is kind of brought into the boardroom. So that way we consider that no matter what direction we're heading.
Awesome. Is there somebody outside? I think.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm really sorry about the technological
worries.
Difficulties. But yeah, thank you so much for coming in today.
Well,
it's really great to hear from you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Right. Great, thank you.
Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Our next person coming here. Yeah. Yeah. So we are filming. So if you want to be filmed, you can sit like here. If you don't want to be filmed, you can sit like over here. Yeah, we broadcast our meetings for people who can't make it, or it's hard for them to come in person.
That's incredible.
So yeah. So thank you so much for coming in today, Amy. I don't know if you just want to talk a little bit about. I don't know if you had anything particular to say.
I'll just begin with my vision for Duke, and then I'll leave as much time as I can for questions, because I think that's very important. So my vision for Duke is threefold. So the first is equity and access, the second is diversity and inclusion, and the third is a commitment to collaboration and innovation. So then the equity and access, I like to sum that up as investing in Duke beyond just a week. So Duke does a great job at, I think, bringing people to campus, making them excited about everything that Duke has to offer, but sometimes once they're here, a lot of that support drops off. This is everything from financial aid to academic support. The more students that we bring in who are first generation or from poorer parts of the country, often they've never had AP classes or they haven't been exposed to the type of academic rigor that Duke offers. It doesn't mean they're not smart. Often they're more intelligent and have a broader perspective about the world, but Duke, I think, can do a better job at supporting them academically. In addition, there's also support, of course, for those with disabilities, those with who are sexual assault survivors. I think this support and investment in students continues beyond financial aid, beyond just academic support, but also kind of creating a counseling and support system and an advocacy system for students who have different troubles or different problems on campus. With regard to diversity and inclusion, I think Duke needs to do a better job with diversity in the broadest sense of the word, not just more Black and Hispanic students and faculty and administration, but also more women representing, more female representation in male-dominated fields like STEM. There was a recent article that was just published about how the high attrition rate among women in computer science. I think that could possibly be attributed to the lack of female faculty or opportunities for support and mentorship within those communities. So definitely, I'm a strong advocate of women's empowerment. That's what my research is in. And then inclusion, I think, is where the new housing model comes in, making sure that campus is not only diverse, but inclusive. So those conversations can happen, that there is respect that is kind of fostered from day one, and that everyone can feel like they have a home on campus, whatever that may turn out to be. And then finally, collaboration and innovation. I think everyone's focused on housing, but probably one of the most exciting changes coming to Duke is the new curriculum, the Trinity curriculum that the administration is proposing. And I think there's an opportunity here to totally reform how students go about interacting with their environment and the world. The title of the curriculum is Experiencing Duke Deliberately, which I think is brilliant. It's a little cheesy, but what they're trying to get at is connecting students to the real world, both Durham and the global community. But I think also their campus community. They're proposing a first-year seminar. And if I had a voice at the table, I would kind of emphasize the importance of teaching people how to work in teams, because that's what the real world is like, how to treat others with respect, how to write persuasively and speak intelligibly with facts. A lot of real world skills that I think Duke can do a better job at enforcing, but also a celebration of the liberal arts community, trying new things without as much, not much fear of ruining your GPA, kind of an emphasis of exploration and collaboration and ultimately innovation. So that is my broad vision for Duke in those three categories. But with regard to students with disabilities, I think I have a unique perspective and a unique insight to this community more than any of the other finalists, or arguably more than any other trustee in Duke's history. The last 2 years, or 2 of my 4 years at Duke, I was dependent on Duke Disability Services. I had 3 foot surgeries, 2 of them were major. And for 2 years, I was dependent on the services that Duke provided to physically get to class. And I also, as a Robertson Scholar, I experienced the same services that UNC has to offer. And so I do have a frame of reference for everything that Duke does really well. And there is a lot that Duke does really well, but also where shortfalls are. And the young trustee position is of course not a platform position. I can't make promises, but what I can say is for the first time, there will be someone who actually firsthand understands this community and will have a voice at the table. And the biggest example that I like to propose to any student group I speak to is kind of the power of that voice at the table. For example, when the board was making the decision to renovate Rubenstein Library, that shares a wall with Languages, which is the only inaccessible building on campus. Had somebody been at that table who knew that, they might have said, hey, you're rebuilding that wall anyway, why not create a point of access? And it just is an example of, while I may not have a platform, just actually understanding the perspectives of the community could change the conversation and maybe hit multiple birds with a single stone. So I'll stop there and yield any of the remaining time for questions.
All right, you guys have anything? Okay. Kind of thing. I guess could you elaborate a little bit more on like the issues you see on campus as relates to disability and like people's experiences with disability, and how it intersects with campus life, and like specifically like what you would like to see change?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Duke should just be more proactive. Like I was totally blind to some of the experiences on campus until they were my lived experiences. And I think that's the problem with the greater community, that they just haven't, when they walk over a curb, they don't think, how could somebody in a wheelchair go over this? Or when they check off boxes according to whatever legal codes they have to in building West Union, okay, we'll create a bathroom by ABP that's wide enough for a wheelchair to go in, but then they forget to put the click button. There's still not one. Like just little things like that, and it puts the burden on this community to go after and say, hey, can you add that button? Hey, can you get me to class a little faster because the handicap entrance point to every one of the old buildings is in the total back. Things like that, that if those perspectives, I think, were proactively voiced when they were building these buildings or when they're making decisions, the burden wouldn't be placed on you all to have to say, actually, I can't get to class, or I can't go to this student club meeting because it's at the second floor of languages. Things like that. I just think it should be more proactive.
Anything else?
Anybody from cyberspace have any questions?
Yeah. So, yeah, did you guys get the email with the, oh shoot.
That's what I was about to ask.
Because like it didn't even come up on my end. Yeah, we're not able to send out our Hangout link in real time. So people will hopefully watch this afterwards.
Absolutely. I know I was in Art Theme House for the last 2 years. I live off campus now, but I was in Art Theme House, and Cookies was a best friend of mine. And so a lot of, like, I remember the first week I was on campus with, my leg, I was not weight bearing for 3 or so months. And I didn't leave the Eden's quad. I basically ate a pitchfork for 2 weeks because I literally did not know how to get to the Bryan Center, and without having to rely on calling, Tiger or some of the other guys to take me. And so Cookies was the one who took me around campus, and she did a really interesting scavenger hunt where we had to go and take selfies at different places on campus, and she purposely planned the route so that we couldn't go. And it upset me so much that I didn't know that until I physically couldn't get there. And so that definitely opened my eyes. And if I have the opportunity to speak on behalf of all students, I think this is one of the most important communities because it hasn't ever been spoken for beyond what legally they have to do to check the boxes. So.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. We really appreciate it. Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone on the computer.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so now the message has been finally forwarded to the moderators.
Oh no.
Let's see, maybe I can include it real quick. Copy.
Jay, did you play for one more?
Yeah, Christina's here.
I'm not interested candidates. I'm fine.
Well, yeah, we do have someone next Saturday.
Next week. Okay.
I think that has done it. Okay. Sorry about that. Maybe we will have some people tuning in now.
Oh yeah, Jay. I should have the camera.
Oh, the camera. Oh, okay, cool. Great.
I can start managing the
Awesome.
stuff.
What? Oh, you did it already. Okay, cool. Okay, great. So now people might be joining soon. So again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Let's see. I might want to project, if we're talking about languages, I might want to project on that or something. So let me just plug it.
Do you think should have one?
Yeah, well, I have one. There's actually one right here, which is nice.
Oh,
Sometimes people take them. Right. Let's see. So maybe Christina, if you just want to start, and then I can plug this in and pull up a map that you're fine too.
Well, I know Jay, so what are your names?
I'm Simon.
Simon. Maddie. Okay. I'm Christina. Nice to meet you.
Tilt the camera here. Hi, Marion.
Hi.
Oh, and is it muted? Oh, shoot. All right. Hi, Marion. Can you hear us? Or, oh. Hey, can you hear us, Marion?
Yeah, sorry, am I muted?
No. Yeah, I think I was muted, so sorry about that. Yeah. And then we also have Simon and Maddie here. Sorry, I didn't really get to do introductions, running a bit late, but yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so we have Christina Smith here from DSG, and you're going to talk to us about the languages building, right?
Yeah. So it's really interesting that Amy just went because I actually got a lot of my inspiration for this from her because I sat in on the Young Christine nominating committee, so like I helped pick the finalists. But just in her conversations during her interview about like accessibility on campus, I was just thinking, thinking about what DSG has or has not done in terms of that. And our purview isn't as large as like what the Board of Trustees is doing in terms of like academic or like just housing in general. But we do have the purview over like all student groups that are recognized, which just means that you can apply for like funding for different things. And right now, you all might know, like she said, languages building, the only inaccessible building on campus, but I know that varies. But right now, all recognized groups can't hold open events there. But I would really like a policy where all recognized groups cannot hold any like events there. So that would mean like closed meetings, closed events, because I think then obviously that makes it inaccessible to students who are in those groups to like go to those meetings, events, etc. And I don't know really how many student groups that affects, but I think that it is also a larger statement to the administration that that the accessibility status of the languages building should be a first priority. So I'd really just love to know your thoughts on that. I'm assuming it would be a very short policy once I write it up, but I would also like to send it to all of you to like comment and edit and whatnot. And then in like the next, not this week probably, but the week after to bring it to Senate. And if you all wanted to be there, that would also be really awesome. But I think it's a very simple policy and it makes, I think, in my opinion, a whole lot of sense. But I think it's the larger statement that I really care about. So I would really love your opinions, insights.
Would you mind passing me the remote?
Of course.
Yes. Turn the TV down. I can pull up a map and stuff. I don't even know like where languages is, which I guess is good because I've never had to go there.
Yeah, it's right next to Perkins.
Yeah. I heard one time, it's just a story from one of my classmates, which we had a class in languages. And they said his friend got temporarily injured. So, and he had to use crutches. And what he had to do to get to class every day was he would have to put his crutches over the stairs and then scoot up.
Really? Which is just so unacceptable.
I know, like
it's highly unacceptable. Like, and just the idea that we are like spending so much money building other new buildings and none of that is going to renovating the existing buildings that we have.
And even hearing that, I had no idea when that they renovated Rubenside and then the wall.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. So
at that point, like, might as well.
Yeah,
but,
you just it would be common sense to do so. So, but yeah.
But we have DDA really focuses on like spreading awareness of accessibility issues. So we send out surveys on accessibility.
Okay.
And, how accessibility interacts with campus stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really big, or one of our top challenges. So I guess languages would be like kind of a little focal point.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the most accessible.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to help you out with this policy in any way we can. So just let us know once you have a draft and we can look it over, and then we can also hopefully, some of us can hopefully be there when we present it.
Yeah, that would be so fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, like normally, just like our little, like the policies that we pass, normally it's like, whereas like the status quo, and then like be it resolved that this is like what we want. And so, so I think it would just affect all recognized student groups. So for instance, your group would not have an event in languages or would not host meetings in languages. But it would prevent all groups from doing that. So I think it would be really great. So awesome. I should have that hopefully in the next few days or so, and I'll email it to all of you, just at your email and then the DDA email, and then like allow you to edit it, whatnot. I could perhaps come back next weekend if there are any questions on that, or just to be like send it every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Is when we have our meetings, and then it'd probably be like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of your time on a Wednesday.
Okay.
So,
Okay, great.
awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
yeah.
it. But yeah, I'll send that to you, and I'm really excited to hear your feedback.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for listening to me.
All right. Thank you for coming in, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Have a good night.
you too, thanks.
So,
Thanks.
Anyone else here? Okay.
sorry for saying so.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I'm pretty bad about turning this camera on. Yeah, there's a lot we need to do to like actually make our meetings accessible. One of the things is like getting the camera to go to the person who's speaking so that people can lip read if they need to.
Yeah.
Which I'm bad about. Yeah.
I was watching the recording actually because I was sick.
Yeah.
It was kind of like very difficult to see the person who's speaking.
Yeah. Okay, let's see where are we at now.
And also closed captioning. Are you working on that? You're like,
yeah, I don't really know what we can do in that regard.
Jay, I just learned yesterday about a software called Zoom. Provides like automatic captioning.
Automatic.
What is it called? How do you spell it?
Zoom. ZOOM.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, we can look into that. Yeah.
I don't know what it costs or if Duke has it, but I heard that that's the best accessibility software for live streaming and live conferencing.
Okay then, yeah.
It captions it live?
Is it a whole different software, or is it kind of like an add-on?
I think it would be a completely different thing from Google Hangouts. I don't know because I haven't used it. I just heard about it for the first time yesterday. I was doing a disability justice training for student action with farm workers, and my colleague who works in disability rights in North Carolina, he not DRNC, but he works in NCCDD. He was talking about it as something that is really useful for live conferencing. So I think it's worth studying and looking into. I've never used it.
Okay, yeah, I think
it's a whole new platform. It's
yeah.
like a meeting platform.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you can look, because the thing is, I don't want to make it any harder for people to access.
That's
like if it's a good software, but it's like hard to get to. They can't.
Yeah, I don't know if like the person watching has to also have the software installed, so you can find that out.
We can test it out.
Yeah,
if we want.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but so I think what we need to do now is, if we can talk real quick about how we're going to handle the communications going forward, then we can hit
as in email responses.
Yeah, email responses, Facebook message stuff, and then we'll go for some disability, like the disability and the arts event updates, and then Marion, are you still able to do spend some time talking about the telethons?
I don't know. I mean, we shared the materials. It kind of depends if you guys read it. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it. And I mean, we can, if there's time at the end. It's not a priority. I feel like our priority right now is the arts event. So let's just see how much time we have at the end.
Right. Yeah. So I think at this point, everyone has like their own responsibilities already. And I mean, I guess what are you guys' ideas for like how we might be able to handle the?
I feel like emails should fall under my responsibilities, just because logically I already handle like some like regular scheduled emails. So like even though I forget about them often, sorry about that. But if nobody else wants to take that can take that responsibility, I think I could try responding to emails.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I suppose technically, like received communications would fall under Maddie's purview as the only remaining advocacy chair, but I understand that it is a significant responsibility, and Maddie, you're already handling the Facebook page and our regular posts and stuff. So.
Well, I think I can
Okay,
take
yeah.
under.
Yeah, so if you want, so if you feel comfortable doing the emails and Facebook messages, basically handling all of the new ones. I think like obviously if someone replies to a conversation that we've already started, then whoever's handling that conversation can respond. But anything new you receive, then if you can answer that, I think that would be ideal.
So does this include like just having Facebook messages like to the DDA official Facebook page, or is this talking also about like kind of making sure that people are replying to posts in the like exact?
I mean, I think like, if we could have like a discussion in our posts, that would be great. But I think that's not really what I'm thinking about here. I think the immediate thing is that we need to make sure that we're getting the people that ask for specific things, that we're getting them what they need. So it'd be responding to those messages that we receive privately.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks. I think that. Oh, and we just got one now, huh? Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, maybe you need. Anyway, all right, great. So we can move on. So. We are in a crunch period, I would say, as far as the number of deadlines that we have coming up. And I mean, I think the main driver here is that Antoine Hunter needs his money like around the time of the event itself. So.
What about Carrie?
Sorry?
What about Carrie Sendall?
And well, I mean, obviously we'd want to get her money as soon as possible, but I mean, I think Antoine Hunter said, like he said, he's going to Chile like right after, so he may not have the funds to handle both of those and then get reimbursed later. I don't know. So does Carrie Sendall also have a similar issue, or?
No, but I think that we should get the process started. Just to do things the right way. You know, like I know that we were working on our contract with Antoine, and I was kind of wondering if we were also working on one for Carrie, because I didn't see anyone talking about that. So I just wanted to kind of touch base on that.
Yeah, I mean,
we can do the Antoine one first, but I feel like if we're going through that process, we might as well do them both at the same time since it's very similar paperwork.
Yeah, and the thing is, we may have to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So I can kind of talk about some stuff that I see coming up. I think the first thing we want to address is so Maddie, have you contacted Barbara Barnes again recently?
Yes, I have. I've sent her multiple different like forms of communication, and she only recently replied to me like very early this morning saying like she's still very much in the midst of her like family issues that are going on, but she continues to say, she says, please remind me of the date and all the other like stuff in 1 week, and she still is like asking to plan the event together at some point. She said in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. So the issue there is that, and I'm not entirely certain about this, but we may have to, when we request the funding from SOFC, we may have to do that all at once. So that would mean the 3 artists and the cost of the food all at once. We might be able to split it up, but I'm not sure. I am going to look into that. So that is the issue, that if we want to get Antoine Hunter and then Carrie Sendall as well, if we want them to get their money sooner, it takes 6 to 8 weeks for the check to be processed. So we need to ideally, I think we would have everything in by Tuesday with SOFC. So like we send in the thing like late Monday, I think, or early Tuesday. We get the hearing Tuesday evening, and then we hear back in like a week after that. And meanwhile, we have the contract set up and then hopefully SFC approves the money. I think the other thing we need to talk to Sean Ferguson at UCAE about is what happens if SFC doesn't approve the money? Because we don't, like, if we sign the contract and there's a shortfall, that's a problem because it's a contract. So we need to look into that as well. Hopefully, maybe Kathy can talk to him. And also, if we can expedite the check process, that'll give us some more flexibility as to the timeline. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, there's all that. And I think the other thing we need to do is send a proposed budget to Carrie Sandal. I think similar to what we did for Antoine Hunter. Because for the SOFC request, we need everything itemized.
And to be clear, when we send these budgets to Antoine Hunter and Carrie Sandal, are we kind of, is this fully that they are spending the money at first and then we're reimbursing them?
Yeah, that I think that perhaps there could be a scenario where the check gets to them before the event itself.
Yeah.
But that is more unlikely, I think, than again afterwards. Yeah, so basically, so when we send them that budget, the total number goes on the contract. So we need them to look at that and then say yes to the total number. And then the breakdown itself is what we send to SOFC so that they know exactly why we need what we need.
Right, right.
And so, yeah. So let's see, so I think Marion, you had kind of taken over the conversation with Carrie Sandal. Hey, Dipti.
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late.
It's fine. Yeah, I know we had a location change today, so yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, but so let's see. So yeah, so Marion, would you be able to write up a draft sometime soon? Like hopefully if we send it out early on Monday, she'd get back to us like later on Monday or like early on Tuesday.
Yeah, I can send that. Can you tell me where to find the budget for Antoine Hunter? Is that in our folder?
It's in the email drafts again. I mean, we also sent it out to him, but it's in our email drafts. Okay. So that list is in there, yeah.
Okay, because I can kind of model it on that. I mean, what hotels did we look into for him?
For Antoine Hunter, I think Deepti, you had done that.
Yeah.
So we can pull up that.
I sent him a list of 4 hotels because I figured 4 was a good number, not too many and not too few. And they were mainly like kind of low budget hotels and I think some of them, like my mom has stayed in them personally when she comes to visit. So unofficial kind of review that they were pretty good and the amenities were nice. And they're nearby, like the Uber to and from campus should not take more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
So hold on, I have that list here. Let me just screen share it. I don't know what's going on with that TV. But
okay.
Yeah. So I think, so if we were estimating a cost, I think we had told Antoine Hunter like was it like 250 or something?
Did we
200,
get an answer on our question about whether he was traveling alone?
He hasn't replied yet.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, so yeah, so we didn't get a response to that email with the budget in it, did we, 50?
I haven't gotten anything yet. Sometimes, like, Miss Simon will only reply to me, and then I forward her response, but she hasn't sent me anything either.
Yeah, they must be busy. But yeah.
I'm sorry. Have we sent that email to the Nasher about our changed timeline?
Yeah, so we did send that email, and then they got back to us with the idea of maybe having the reception earlier, like 12:30.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm like looking at these emails and not remembering sending them. Okay, so Yeah, okay. I'll use this as a kind of a model for what I write to Carrie. Yeah, I guess, is the list of hotels like separate somewhere?
Yeah, I think there was some issue with, I think like, yeah, there was some issue with that conversation and they kind of got split up.
Oh,
I think the thing is, I think like both the hotel conversation and like the budget like conversation, I sent both of those emails to her back to back.
yep. Okay, so they would probably, did you also send them to the Duke Disability Alliance message?
Yeah, like I can see both of them, but I think they got sent like so the email with the budget is in response to Donna Simon's email thanking us for the call and attaching the standard contract. And then I think
okay, I see them.
he had also replied with the hotel list. Vicky replied to that email where she had thanked us for the call. So you replied to that the January 31st at 8:03, and then at 9:02 on Thursday, so the next day, Antoine Hunter was asking if everything was set in stone, and then I think separately there was a reply.
Yeah.
Just after that, actually, to the email where Zana thanked us for the call with the budget. So I think they got split up, but they're all there. Like all of the information has been sent out, so shouldn't really be a huge issue.
Okay. I'm gonna just quickly reply to Antoine's email because we didn't actually address it when he asked, can he start writing his lecture now, right? And I think we should just respond yes, because we didn't like make that clear. We kind of talked about other stuff in the response that was actually more directed to Zana than to him. So I'll just quickly be like,
what happened was that I realized I sent the hotel list to like the DDA listserv and Antoine Hunter, but not to Miss Simon. So I sent that email specifically just to Miss Simon like the day after.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So that's
cool.
Everyone has
yeah,
that.
they have all the information. So.
All right.
So let's see. So let's recap then. I will contact Luke Farrell. Has anyone been taking notes? Oh shoot. Oh well, I think that it should be fine. So I will contact Luke Farrell, and hopefully Kathy can contact Sean Ferguson. I'm just gonna start tagging people.
And just another question regarding timeline. Has anyone asked Antoine how long his lecture will be and how long his dance will be? Just to,
Okay, again, I think he said allow 45 minutes.
For the full everything?
Yeah.
What's Kathy?
It's saying it's Cat Choi 555.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's at Gmail. And then we need to ask the Nasha. So are we good with doing the reception early?
Oh, I thought it was. Let me just get that email up again. Sorry, I've got so many documents and so many tabs open right now. I think that it might be better to do the reception in between the Carrie Sendall and Antoine Hunter portions of the event, just because like it kind of gets it started and gives people something to talk about during the reception. Otherwise, we just kind of arrive there, and I kind of think, I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that, but I feel like if we start with the lecture or, you know, the film and the lecture by Carrie, and then we have the reception, it gives like people something to talk about, and then they go back in and see the dance. So I don't know if that was one of the alternatives they suggested. I'm just getting that email up again.
Yeah, so they had said,
oh, and they also want an event description from us, which we should do like as soon as possible.
which we can't really give them until we talk to Barbara Barnes, really.
That's true, actually. So has Barbara agreed to the date? Well, I guess it sounded like she doesn't know what the date is based on this morning's email to Maddie. So we should just write back and tell her when it is.
Yeah. Sorry, are you able to do that, Maddie?
Yes. No, I had done it earlier, but
Oh,
I think
okay.
it just needs to be like repeated. But yes, I can.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay.
Needs
Yeah, I mean, she's probably not been thinking too much about
No.
this, so it's, I think it's understandable. But yeah. So we can either, they said either have the reception at 12:30 or have Carrie Sundahl start at 12:30.
Yeah. I'm reading their last email. Oh, actually, this is your email to them from Tuesday the 30th.
Because they sent something back on Thursday the 1st at 12:24. And yeah, Exact was copied on it. You were copied on it.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, the one from Beth. Oh, I see this.
Yep.
Okay, the one I was looking for. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I kind of think maybe we should start with Carrie at 12:30 and then have the reception. But do we really need a 45-minute reception? I mean,
Well, I mean, because I think what she was saying is 15 minutes is kind of short.
yeah, but 45 is a little long. What about like a 30-minute reception? You
Yeah, I
know?
mean,
45
yeah, no. Because the thing then we could do is move up Antoine Hunter and then start the tour at 3.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we like write back and suggest a half-hour reception?
Yeah.
So Antoine could start at 2.
Okay.
Or Carrie could start later.
Okay.
I mean,
I can just respond real quick.
Yeah.
I
don't
know.
I just like the reception kind of being like a break in the middle rather than like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, regardless of when we do the reception, I think it's good for there to be a break because there are people like me who need to get up and walk around.
Exactly.
And they can't, if like people can't sit for too long. So I think it's definitely good to have a break. So yeah, I can, yeah, so I'll rework the schedule and put it in the drafts document. Okay. All right. So did we finish tagging people? Cost of snacks. I think that was gonna be. Yeah, she didn't respond to us about the cost. Maybe that was an oversight or.
Right.
But
Okay, so if we just want to copy paste her timeline, I might just copy paste this timeline into our planning document for the performing arts event and just kind of tweak it a little bit, and then we can send it back to her.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just tagging a couple more people here.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. So you're tagging people in which document right now?
In the meeting agendas, well, I guess, yeah, this is probably not the best place to be tagging people. Yeah, this was a bad idea. Anyway, I can just copy and paste this.
Okay, and so when Maddie mentioned that Barbara would like to be part of the planning of the event with us, I think that we should invite her to the meeting we're planning with our co-sponsors. I think that would make sense. And I don't know if she can make it or not. It'll probably be middle of the month sometime.
All right.
Is that what Barbara wanted, like to be part of the planning?
Oh no. I think what she meant, like her words were to say, yes, I will do the event and we will plan it out soon. I think she was alluding to just her scheduling.
Okay.
So based on like Jay, what you were saying, is it possible that if we do not get any more information by Tuesday, then it would unfortunately be unable to have her at the event?
I need to check on that. I would hope not.
Okay.
I would hope not. But I think because we haven't gotten a response from Antoine Hunter and we haven't sent the budget to Carrie Sandal, I think our timeline is gonna necessarily have to be pushed back anyway. So it might end up being like the Tuesday after this coming Tuesday. So we'll probably end up having a little bit more time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a real, I don't really know what to do. I don't really know if we should delay. I mean, what I would hope is that you'd be able to talk to her as soon as possible, actually.
Yes.
So that, so I think maybe having the meeting with the sponsors and having Barbara Barnes there as well may not be a good idea on second thought. Yeah, because then, because we also need to talk to her, see what her vision for the event is, see if she can actually fit in that schedule where we really only have her in there for 15 minutes, which I believe we could make 30 if we need to. So yeah, basically make sure she's okay with the schedule, and then after the call, send her the budget, have her approve that, and then hopefully also we'll have the cost of the food then, and then we can send everything to SFC all at once.
Yes.
So yeah, so I think the best thing to do would be try and get a call with her as soon as possible.
Yes, and that is what I have been doing. It's
right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's obviously dealing with something, so I'm not saying that it was anyone's oversight necessarily. But yeah, if you can just yeah, when she gets back to you to see when, as soon as she's available to try to have a call.
Yes.
Sorry. Something in my throat.
I just pasted the new timeline. I just like updated the timeline and put it at the bottom of the planning document.
The timeline that we have at the top, or
the timeline for
The schedule for the event itself.
So I was thinking, like we would get there at 11:30, and like get settled in the space, and then you're there, you can see it. And then at noon the doors would open. Carrie could start at 12:30, and then the networking would start around 1:30, maybe a little bit before, and then Antoine would start at 2. Barbara would go at 2:45, and then we could have the sensory tours from 3 till 4. And there's, I think, a little bit of wiggle room between the Barbara Barnes and the sensory tour, because like it'll just start. The tours can just start whenever Barbara's finished, and that still gets us out of there by 4 o'clock, because it says that the Liz Peters tour should take 45 minutes at most. So I think that's a better way to do it. It's a planning for about a half-hour reception, which I think is still plenty of time. But not too much time, because I feel like 45 minutes is a long time, and I'm worried like people might get bored and like leave, you know, halfway into the event. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think we need that much. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good. So I'll contact Luke Farrell, and I'll send a short email back to Beth.
Okay, so I'll write to Carrie.
Okay. Did we want to spend a little? Looks like we're not taking up anybody else's time here. So if we want to spend like a few minutes talking about the
telethons,
right? Or we can just save it for next week.
Well, did anyone read the things that Ashley and I posted to the agenda?
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. Yeah, I wasn't.
Just kind of wanted to know what you guys thought of Paul Longmore perspective, and see if that has any kind of impact on the way that we're envisioning our partnership with the telethon that's happening on that Tuesday. So I don't know. What did you think of the documents that we should?
Let me just pull them up over here.
Are these ones that have
they're in the agenda? Yeah, the agenda. I'm just gonna pull up the brief review and summary. Wow. So this is basically saying like telethons helped like create this
spectacle.
Yeah.
And just to share like why we thought this was important to like think about is that just like the word telethon has like a kind of a charge around it for a lot of people who work in disability studies or people who are, you know, disability rights activists. And so I'm thinking that, you know, when we share our Disability Pride Week flyers and promotional materials, I'm going to be, like I always do, sharing them across the like national network of disability studies scholars and programs. And you know, Paul Longmore is such an important historical figure of that movement. And I'm kind of like, I get worried that, you know, people will get the wrong idea about our club based on, you know, just seeing the word telethon in our promotional material. If we're including the event in our list of things, you know, that's going on. If we're like putting our name on it, you know, I don't know. I think it might just send a message of DDA as more of a charitable fundraising kind of thing, which we're not, right? we're more about empowerment and justice than charity. So I just wonder if you want to talk about that amongst yourselves in terms of like, because I do want us to partner with other bodies on campus that are interested in disability related issues. I just wonder the best way to do it, especially if you guys think if you like read those articles and kind of feel the same kind of discomfort I have just with that word and the charge that it carries amongst like our allies across the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what that might mean. And the girl who came and presented about Telethon, she just sounded to me like wanted to open a dialogue with us and collaborate with us. And she said like if we want to do something different than a telethon, or if we want to have input on the way that they're doing this event, she's open to it. And so I think that's really great, and that we should work with her and like give input. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to like share that perspective and kind of proceed with some caution, you know? So I don't know. I just wanted it to be something that we're thinking about right now before we like include it in our list of events as though it's our event, you know?
So,
yeah.
The event is called Telethon. Yep. There's no way we can avoid saying that word. So what we can do is we can include some sort of disclaimer in any promotional materials with that word. Like basically put an asterisk next to it and have some sort of disclaimer. But the thing is, are people really going to care like once they see that word? Like honestly, in today's political climate, I don't know how well that would work.
Can you turn the camera so that I can see you guys? I'm looking at an email right now.
Oh shoot, sorry about that.
Fine.
Okay, wait. Here we go.
Conversation with my computer. Hi guys. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is something we can necessarily like fix right now. I just wanted it to be in your purview and just kind of think about to what extent we want to feature that event in our promotional materials. And you know, there's also the option of talking to, I forget the young woman's name who came and spoke about it. But just to speak with her and like open up a dialogue about like maybe renaming the event, or maybe even just like sharing the materials that I shared with you guys and just like starting a dialogue about that perspective on telethons.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we could technically advertise it as a yeah, because the organization has the word telethon in it too.
I know, that's why it's kind of a predicament.
It's like the other sad thing is that we basically told her we could like help her out, and then like if we renege on that and we don't advertise, I would feel pretty bad about that.
We should talk to her if you want to.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you can be just honest about it and just like, I don't know, say that you came across something and that you want to talk about it with her. I don't know how you want to handle it. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this because just like as the advisor of this group, I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of some of the perspectives that are out there that that you know you might not have known about, and to give you a sense of what the consequences of that might be in terms of our standing as like a you know, one of the few, there aren't that many groups like ours across the country. Like a lot of schools, like most schools don't have a disability alliance, you know? And so like, what does it mean to be in that network, right? In the DREAM network, you know, and just kind of as like a student club that's interested in disability justice, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be like, you know, the people who there's a Longmore Institute in California, Longmore Institute on Disability, and you know, he's the person who wrote this telethon article and book on it actually, and you know, you don't want to make an enemy of them either. So it's just this is a challenge of like navigating how to work with potential partner organizations at Duke, like the Center for Multicultural Affairs, which, you know, they do a lot of great work. But they're not a disability group. And so like, it's kind of part of our job, even though there's not enough of us and we don't have enough time to fully do it. But it's kind of our job to, when someone says they're interested in promoting disability issues, it's our job to inform them about like the disability justice perspective on those issues. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and I think we can certainly let them know about this. And thank you, Marian, and thank you, Ashley, as well. If you end up watching this,
I wish
for bringing this to our attention.
I wish there was a time like before she came to our meeting to actually talk about it. But wasn't it like the first meeting of the semester? She came, so like we didn't have time to have this conversation. It would have been better if we'd had the conversation before that, but
right. Yeah. Well.
Never, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, Simon, Maddie, Deeply, do you guys have any thoughts on when it comes to actually advertising for the event, how we should handle that? Should we not do it? Should we put a disclaimer? Like what? Like nothing.
I don't think we decide right now. Let's like take a couple weeks, since we're not making our promotional materials for Disability Pride Week for a few weeks. Like, let's like take the time to think about possible alternatives and like revisit the issue at a future meeting, I think. Come up right now, like it hasn't really sunk in. So
yeah. I just didn't know if anyone had any thoughts right off the bat before they forget or anything. But
I feel like we should take and see what they suggest. If they I don't know, like agree, well, not agree, but necessarily, but see this perspective, they may have suggestions too.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right then. Okay. Yeah, I'm real sorry. I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to like read those articles more thoroughly. Perhaps at some point we can send them to our membership or something. Yeah, once we talk to the CMA again and figure something out, we can get this information out, because I think people would like to know about these sorts of things in general. But yeah, so thanks again, Marian and Ashley, for bringing this to our attention. I certainly appreciate it. Yeah, but I think that is everything. Again, we still have the accessibility survey. I don't know if everyone here has filled that out yet.
Has Duke Student Government been circulating that? Like, Ivan?
I think what I probably will need to do is send that directly to Ivan, and then he'll be able to.
That'd be great. Yeah, I would love if like DSG helped us with that, because they're doing so much wonderful work right now about accessibility that this survey could be so helpful, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really excited, by the way, because my students' activism projects are getting started, and they have so many great ideas. So I think that we'll have some cool stuff lined up for Disability Pride Week, especially the videos that they're making. And I've put them in touch with people like Ivan and Christina and Jaja, and so that like there's a lot of potential for collaboration with DSG, and also just like calling attention to all the issues that we try to bring up in that survey. So it's going to be cool. Yeah, we have basically 6 videos planned, and they each focus on different issues, whether it's an accessibility issue or like a cultural issue that leads to trauma. So one of the videos that I hadn't planned on doing, but which a student proposed doing, and I thought was a really good idea, was one focusing on sexual assaults and the culture of sexual assault in higher education. Particularly as it relates to the graduate student experience. And I think that's a really important issue. And I'm hoping in future that our organization will will attract more graduate student participants, because I think that, you know, there's a lot of grad students that are interested in what we're interested in, and we just kind of haven't been coming because of it's kind of the culture of our group is that it's mainly undergrads. And so, yeah, so we haven't really got past that divide. But did you guys talk about the activities fair at the beginning of the meeting?
No, I think I was gonna say that for next week. I mean, us among exec, if we want to look at the timing for that and kind of set up some shifts. But I think we can also send out an email to our membership next week. So I think we can handle that soon. But
Great.
All right. So I know we've gone a bit over an hour, but thanks everyone for being here.
Hanging around.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so next week we'll have another young trustee candidate, Chinmay Pandit. And again, sorry for the delay in sending out the link. But if you guys want to go back and watch the speeches by Bryce Cracknell and Amy Kramer, those occurred earlier on in the meeting. But yeah, all right. Thanks everybody. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
Bye.